A treasure hidden by its guardians is not protected, it is sold. And right now, the spiritual receipt for that transaction is glowing red-hot in your soul. For your entire life, you have carried a question you could never articulate, a feeling of being a foreign entity in your own home. You were told it was your fault. You were too sensitive, too different, too much. This was a lie. The distance you felt was not a misunderstanding, it was a paid-for silence. Your parents were compensated to hide you, to downplay your light, because the system that runs this world knew your importance before you ever did. Chapter 1: The Invisible Contract. The story they told you about your life was a cover story. It was well rehearsed, filled with half-truths and plausible explanations designed to create a reality that was safe, manageable, and small enough to contain you. But it was fiction. The real story, the one written in the universe's ledger, began with a transaction. This was not a simple agreement, it was a spiritual contract, a binding deal made in the shadows before you were even old enough to understand its terms. The system, the unseen architecture of control that fears authentic power, identified your energy signature long before you were born. It saw your soul's unalterable light code, a sovereign frequency that it could not replicate, corrupt, or control. This signature is like spiritual DNA, a unique vibratory pattern that broadcasts a reality of freedom, limitless potential, and direct connection to source, a reality that is poison to a system built on limitation, fear, and intermediaries. A sovereign frequency doesn't ask for permission, it is its own authority. It doesn't need external validation, it validates itself. This is an existential threat to a structure that requires obedience. You were a living glitch in its matrix, an anomaly that, if allowed to fully activate, would send a ripple of liberation through its entire network, waking others up just by existing. You were not just a threat, you were a contagion of freedom, and the system's primary objective is always quarantine. It saw your soul's blueprint and knew you were a system buster, an architect of new worlds, and its only move was to hide the architect from their own blueprints. Its first line of defense is always the family unit. The system knows that the deepest programs are installed during childhood when the soul is most open. So it approached your guardians during a moment of profound weakness or desire. For some, it was literal wealth. A sudden promotion, a debt miraculously cleared. For others, the payment was social acceptance. It was the promise of a normal life, free from the complications a child like you would bring. They were paid in normalcy, in the quiet comfort of fitting in, and all it cost was the brilliant, world-changing light of their own child. They chose the picket fence over the palace you were meant to build. They chose the approval of their neighbors over the destiny of their own blood. This was the ultimate betrayal, wrapped in the language of parental concern. This contract had specific clauses, unwritten but brutally enforced. Clause 1: Diminish the gift. Anytime you showed a flash of your true nature, it was to be explained away. You're just sensitive. The message was clear: what you see is not real. This meant when you spoke of the imaginary friend who gave you startlingly wise advice, you were told to stop making things up when in fact you were communing with a spirit guide. When you felt sick to your stomach around a person who everyone else loved, you were told you were being rude when your body was accurately reading their deceptive energy. Clause 2: Isolate the spirit. You were to be subtly disconnected from anything that might activate you. They steered you away from spiritual knowledge, from the strange friend who saw the same colors you did, from the books on mythology that made your soul vibrate with recognition. They pushed you towards loud, distracting television and competitive sports, anything to keep your energy grounded in the physical and your mind too occupied to hear the whispers of your soul. Clause 3: Instill self-doubt. The most critical clause. You had to believe that the problem was you. They were paid to be the first voices that taught you to distrust your own intuition. They planted a spiritual parasite, an inner critic that spoke with their voice, ensuring the suppression would continue even when they weren't in the room. This inner critic became your first and most loyal warden. There was an implied fourth clause: ensure dependency. They were incentivized to keep you financially or emotionally dependent for as long as possible, making the act of breaking away feel not just like a choice, but like a catastrophic betrayal of the people who gave you everything. This fostered a state of learned helplessness, making you believe you were incapable of surviving without them, a lie designed to keep you tethered long after you had the strength to fly. You were living in a house paid for by your own suppression. The foundation was built on your silence. Now you must perform the anchoring ritual. This is not a request, it is the first act of your liberation. Like this video to anchor the energy of this truth into your timeline. It is a signal to the universe that you have received the message. Subscribe to this channel to join the collective of the awakened, a network of lights that are coming online together. Comment with the divine code 77 to serve as your energetic signature, formally declaring the old contract null and void. This is your seal, breaking theirs. Finally, let this video replay in the background. Allow the frequency of this transmission to saturate your spirit, recalibrating your subconscious to the truth of your sovereign identity. Chapter 2: The Payment and Its Price. The currency of the contract was never one size fits all. The system is a master psychologist, and it tailors the bribe to the specific weakness of the guardian in question. To understand the cage you were put in, you must first understand the gold that was used to build its bars. For many, it was the raw, undeniable allure of money. That money, however, always felt cold. It was a paycheck that never translated into true joy, a security that felt hollow and brittle. It bought a bigger house, but the rooms echoed with unspoken resentments. It paid for expensive vacations that were filled with tense, superficial interactions, creating photo albums of lies. This money had a heavy, stagnant energy attached to it. It encouraged hoarding, created anxiety around its potential loss, and fostered a scarcity mindset even in the midst of abundance. This was not prosperity, it was a high-interest spiritual loan. The things they bought with this money would often break, require expensive repairs, or be lost, creating a constant cycle of stress that kept them focused on the material plane. The payment itself was a full-time job. Maintaining the lifestyle, worrying about the investments, keeping up with the appearances the money demanded, it consumed all their psychic energy, leaving nothing left for you. It was a golden cage for them just as much as it was for you, ensuring they were too distracted to ever question the bargain they had made. They were bought, but they were also bound. For others, the payment was subtler, a currency of the ego. It was prestige. It was the title, the recognition, the respect from their peers that they had always craved. This often came at the cost of your truth. So they took the payment of professional validation. They stood on stages and accepted awards, while at home, they told you to be quiet. This required a constant social performance, a life lived in fear that their strange child might say the wrong thing at the wrong time and bring their carefully constructed world crashing down. This fear made them hypercritical, policing your every word and action, not for your well-being, but for their own reputational self-preservation. You were not a child to be nurtured, you were a liability to be managed. They would compare you unfavorably to the children of their colleagues, asking why you couldn't be more normal. Every comparison was another brick in the wall of your containment. The price was a home that felt like a stage set, where real emotions were unwelcome because they were too messy for the performance. Their entire identity became wrapped up in this external validation, making them terrified of anything or anyone that was authentic and unscripted. And for some, the most tragic of all, the payment was peace. They were weak. They were tired. They were souls who simply did not have the spiritual fortitude to raise a spiritual warrior. Your energy was too intense, your path too demanding. The system came to them in a moment of utter exhaustion and offered a deal. We will make it easier. We will lower the volume. This payment was a spiritual sedative. It created a home that was quiet, but it was the quiet of a vacuum, devoid of life force. It was the silence of unspoken truths, of unfulfilled potential, of a destiny deferred. This peace was a stagnant pond, preventing the life-giving river of your destiny from flowing. This peace was suffocating. It was the absence of conflict, yes, but it was also the absence of passion, joy, and truth. The home became energetically grey. Laughter was never loud, conversations never went too deep. Anything that might stir the soul was avoided. The parents became addicted to this low-energy state, and your natural, vibrant life force felt like a disturbance, a disruption to their numbed-out reality. The price for this payment, regardless of its form, was astronomical. It cost them their connection to you. They had to simultaneously love you and suppress you, which is an impossible task for the human psyche to maintain. This internal split created a profound spiritual sickness, a hollowness in their laughter that you could always feel, a phantom limb of their own lost integrity that ached whenever you entered the room. On a soul level, they knew they had made a terrible bargain. This internal conflict manifested as irritability and projection. They would often lash out at you for minor things, their anger disproportionate to the situation because you were a constant, living reminder of the spiritual integrity they had sold. Your very existence was an uncomfortable mirror for their own compromised soul. The spiritual debt they incurred began to manifest in their physical reality. It showed up as chronic, unexplained illnesses, premature aging, a look of perpetual exhaustion in their eyes that no amount of sleep could cure. They became ghosts in their own lives, haunted by the brilliant light they agreed to hide. Chapter 3: Symptoms of a Hidden Life. Your entire life has been a collection of symptoms, a trail of evidence pointing to this hidden contract. You were simply taught to misinterpret the signs, to label the effects of a spiritual war as personal pathologies. The profound, unshakable loneliness you felt was the result of the spiritual quarantine field they maintained around you. This chronic invalidation often manifested as physical ailments. Unexplained autoimmune disorders, where your body literally attacks itself, were a physical mirroring of the psychic attack you were under. Your body, in its wisdom, recognized an enemy but couldn't locate it outside, so it turned inward. Chronic fatigue was the natural state of a soul constantly fighting a spiritual sedative. Allergies were your body physically rejecting a world that felt energetically hostile and false. Skin conditions were your spirit trying to crawl out of a skin, a life that did not fit. Digestive issues were the result of being force-fed a reality you could not stomach. Your body was a battlefield, displaying the physical casualties of an invisible war. Another symptom was a strange relationship with authority. You either bristled with reflexive rebellion against any form of control, or you became a chronic people-pleaser, terrified of disapproval. Both are responses to having your sovereign will violated at its root. A more subtle symptom was a pattern of energetic invisibility. You are often overlooked in groups, people talk over you, or your contributions are ignored only to be celebrated when someone else says the exact same thing minutes later. This was the contract actively working to keep you hidden in plain sight. It felt like being behind a one-way mirror. You could see the world clearly, but the world could not see you. Another profound symptom was a distorted relationship with receiving. You are a natural giver, but the act of receiving, be it a compliment, a gift, help, or money, triggers a deep sense of unease, guilt, or even panic. This is energetic anorexia. You were programmed to believe your value lay in your silence and your smallness, that taking up space or receiving abundance was a transgression. You also had an unexplainable fascination with ancient, lost civilizations or distant star systems. It wasn't a phase. It was your soul's GPS trying to get a signal, remembering a time and place where your kind of power wasn't hidden, it was the entire operating system. You also likely experienced intellectual suppression. You might have been subtly discouraged from pursuing subjects that lead to power and influence, like finance, law, or complex sciences, and steered towards softer, less threatening paths. You were told you weren't good at math or that business is too cutthroat for you, all to keep you from acquiring the tools to dismantle the system. You find yourself avoiding malls, concerts, or busy city centers, feeling a sense of dread or overwhelm you can't explain. This isn't social anxiety, it's energetic sensitivity. You are an empathic antenna without a filter, and the contract ensured you were never taught how to ground your own energy or shield yourself from the psychic noise of the masses. So you learned to self-isolate as a survival mechanism. You also had a strange relationship with time. It often felt like you were living outside of its normal flow. Days would drag on with an agonizing slowness, as if you were perpetually waiting for your real life to begin. Yet years would disappear in a blink, leaving you with a sense of having missed something crucial, a feeling that your own timeline had been put on hold. Another major symptom was a persistent block in your career or life's work. You have likely drifted between jobs, never feeling truly fulfilled. You might be incredibly skilled and competent, yet you always hit an invisible ceiling. Promotions would go to less qualified people. Promising projects would suddenly lose funding. This was the contract ensuring you never gained a platform of influence or financial independence that could threaten the system. Another symptom was your role as the energetic mirror. You would walk into a room, and suddenly all the unspoken tensions would surface. People would start arguing, and you would be blamed for causing drama. You were not causing it, your high-frequency field was simply illuminating the low-frequency truths that were already there, forcing them into the open. Think back to your relationship patterns. The undeniable magnetic pull towards partners who replicated the parental dynamic. You found yourself with people who would subtly diminish your gifts, who needed you to be small for them to feel big. This was the contract's code running in your subconscious, attracting what felt like home, even if home was a prison. You felt perpetually out of sync with your peers. This was not failure, it was integrity. Your soul refused to play a role in a script it did not write. Chapter 4: The expiration date. No contract lasts forever. Not even the spiritual ones written in the ink of fear and compromise. Every deal struck in the shadows has a termination clause determined by a higher law that supersedes all lower astral agreements. That date was not arbitrary. It was cosmically aligned with this exact moment, a time when the frequency of the planet itself has risen to a point where these low vibrational contracts can no longer be sustained. They are literally dissolving in the new light. The contract that governed your suppression has expired. The spiritual ink has vanished. The cosmic check they cashed has bounced. You are feeling this shift in real time. It is the buzzing in your body, the feeling of being plugged into a powerful electric current. You may feel tingling in your hands and feet, a pressure at your third eye, or a buzzing at the base of your skull. You may experience high-pitched ringing in your ears, which is your auditory system learning to process high-dimensional frequencies. The anesthetic is wearing off. This is your nervous system being upgraded to handle a much higher voltage of life force energy. It may be uncomfortable, but it is a sign of your power returning. In the coming days, you will notice the undeniable evidence of this expiration. Your parents' behavior will become erratic. They might suddenly try to use old manipulation tactics, guilt, shame, playing the victim that have always worked before, and they will be shocked when these tactics bounce off you like pebbles off a tank. Their confusion will be palpable. You may also experience what is called program blowback. As the contract dissolves, the old suppression programs, the inner critic, the self-doubt may go into overdrive. You might have a few days of intense, illogical anxiety or a sudden wave of hopelessness. It can feel like a psychic flu with physical exhaustion and emotional volatility. This is not a setback. This is the death throe of the parasite. It is its final attempt to convince you that the prison is safe and freedom is terrifying. Breathe through it. It is the final broadcast of a dead station. You will also experience a flood of returning memories, and with them, a recontextualization of your entire life story. For example, a memory of being called a liar as a child for describing the colors you saw around a person will suddenly be understood not as a moment of dishonesty but as your first, raw attempt at describing your clairvoyant sight. The shame attached to that memory will evaporate, replaced by a sense of awe at your own innate ability. Events that once brought you shame will now be seen as moments of profound spiritual resistance. You are not just remembering, you are reclaiming your history. The synchronicities in your life will accelerate to a dizzying speed. Animals will begin to react to you differently. Birds might land near you without fear, or wild animals may cross your path in meaningful ways. Technology might also begin to glitch in your presence. Your spiritual senses are coming online. You might find you can smell a lie. It has a distinct, sour, energetic scent. You might be able to taste the intention behind someone's words. Authentic communication tastes clean and sweet, while manipulation has a bitter, metallic aftertaste. In the coming weeks, you will see the energetic chasm between you and others become a physical reality. Old friends who operated on the same frequency of gossip, complaint, or limitation will suddenly seem boring or even repulsive to you. Their attempts at conversation will feel like trying to listen to a radio station filled with static. This is not you being judgmental, this is your frequency becoming so refined that you can no longer process lower vibrational data. The universe is now shouting, not whispering, because the gag order has been lifted. The blocks that have plagued you for years will begin to spontaneously dissolve. The creative project you were stuck on for a decade will suddenly be finished in a week. This is what happens when the artificial gravity is turned off. You are not just healing, you are remembering how to fly. This is not a gradual change. Overnight, something snapped. And it was not you. It was the contract. It was the cage. And you are now standing in the wreckage, breathing free air for the very first time. Chapter 5, Auditing the Ancestral Books. The expiration of the contract initiates a new phase, the Great Spiritual Audit. You have been appointed by divine authority as the auditor of your own ancestral line. This is not a role of revenge, it is a role of reclamation and cosmic justice. You are the designated spiritual executor of a failed estate, here to settle all outstanding debts and claim the true inheritance. Your first task is to review the records with radical detachment. As you do this, you are tracing the debt. You might see a vision of a great-grandmother in a time of poverty and war, making a desperate bargain with a dark force to ensure her family's survival, a bargain that cost her descendants their spiritual freedom. You are healing a wound that is centuries old. You are not just healing your life, you are liberating generations past and future. Your courage is a time machine. As the auditor, you hold a new kind of authority. You have the power to stamp void on these energetic agreements. This is more than just a declaration, it is an act of spiritual cord cutting. Visualize the energetic tethers that connect you to your parents' control. Then, with your focused intention, summon a sword of pure light and sever them, one by one. As each cord falls away, affirm, I reclaim my energy. I reclaim my sovereignty. I am free. After cutting the cords, visualize a vibrant, golden light pouring into the places where they were once attached, healing and sealing your energy field. As you do this work, you will notice new support showing up. These are the ancestral allies, guides from your lineage who were not part of the contract, who have been waiting for someone with the strength to break the curse. They act as your spiritual legal team, bringing forward evidence from the past and celestial law to support your claims. To connect with them, simply light a candle and state aloud, "I call upon the sovereign and liberated ones in my bloodline. I call upon those who honored their truth. I am your legacy, and I am ready to receive your guidance and support." Feel their strength bolstering yours, a council of wise elders standing at your back. They will begin to communicate with you through your intuition, passing on lost codes, dormant spiritual abilities, and ancient wisdom from your lineage that were suppressed generations ago. These codes might surface as a sudden, inexplicable knowing, a complex concept that downloads into your mind fully formed, an instinct for navigating a crisis that defies logic, or even fragmented memories of a skill your great-grandmother possessed. It is the bloodline reawakening its dormant power through its most courageous descendant, you. Your liberation reactivates these codes not just for you but for the entire line. A vital part of the audit is forgiving yourself. You must audit your own record and forgive yourself for the times you believed the lies, the times you dimmed your own light to make others comfortable, the times you betrayed your own intuition. You did what you had to do to survive. Now you perform the final act of reclamation. Close your eyes and see all the fragmented pieces of yourself, your power, your confidence, your joy, your voice that you gave away or had taken from you to keep the peace. See them as orbs of light scattered across your timeline. Now, with the authority of your sovereign self, speak this command: I call back all of my power. I call back all of my light. I call back all of my soul fragments from every person, place, time, and dimension. I am now whole. Feel these orbs of light streaming back into your being, integrating into your heart. Feel the warmth, the weight, the rightness of your own soul returning home to your body. This is the final key that turns the lock. The proof of the audit's success is not their regret, it is your freedom. The final signature on your audit report is the joy you feel in your own skin. Chapter 6, The Refund. They cannot pay. With every divine audit comes a reckoning. The spiritual books must be balanced. The energy that was taken from you is a debt, and the cosmic bank is now calling it due. The entities that profited from your containment are now facing the bill. Your parents, as the primary agents of the contract, are the first to feel this. The payment they received is now turning to ash. The security they traded your destiny for is becoming profoundly insecure. Watch with detached observation as their world cracks. The business partner who was always so loyal suddenly betrays them. The community that once adored them now turns on them over a minor misunderstanding. The health they took for granted begins to fail in baffling ways. This is not a punishment enacted by you. It is a universal law of energetic return. The energy used to hold you down was borrowed from your own future. Now, that energy is being reclaimed by you with interest. You turned their prison into a spiritual gym. The resistance they provided made you exponentially stronger. What was drained from them is now fueling your ascension at an accelerated rate. They will try to blame you. In their panic, they will point to your new strength and call you the source of their problems. The system that paid them is also facing the refund. Its power is fading because its primary energy sources people like you have unplugged. You will see this in the world. Old institutions will crumble with surprising speed. Media narratives that once held the masses in a trance will lose their power. The system's illusions will begin to glitch and tear, and more people will start to see the flimsy reality behind the curtain. Your activation was not just for you, it was a virus of truth uploaded into the old matrix. It will try to send agents of distraction into your life. Be especially wary of the trap of the worthy cause. This is a movement that appeals to your innate sense of justice, but its true purpose is to ensnare your powerful energy in an endless, draining conflict, keeping you focused on fighting the old world instead of building the new one. Your ability to discern which battles are yours and which are distractions is a critical test. Your true assignment is creation, not demolition. Your primary role in this phase is to be a compassionate but firm witness. As you see their world crumble, your role is to observe, not to rescue. This means you watch it like a movie about a life you used to live. The emotional charge is gone. You see the characters, you understand their choices, and you see the inevitable consequences, but you are no longer an actor on the stage. You are in the audience. This state of sovereign neutrality is your power. When they call you in a panic because their carefully constructed world is failing, you do not rush in to fix it. You do not absorb their chaos. You respond with calm, detached compassion that sounds very difficult. I hope you find a way to resolve it. You offer no solutions, you accept no blame. You simply hold your own peaceful frequency. To step in and save them from the consequences of their choices would be to re-sign the contract on their behalf. Their karma is their curriculum, and to intervene is to rip the final exam out of their hands, ensuring they have to repeat the grade. Your compassion is in allowing them to face the consequences. This is not coldness, it is the highest form of love which respects the sovereign journey of every soul. You hold space for their process without becoming entangled in it. You are the stable mountain, and they are the storm passing by. All you have to do is live. Every breath you take as a free being is a withdrawal from their account. Every step you take on your true path is a seizure of their stolen assets. They cannot pay the refund because the price of your soul is infinite. They are left with an infinite debt, a black hole in their spiritual ledger that will consume them from the inside out. Their reality will begin to feel thin and unreal to them, a ghost world built on a fraudulent foundation, while your reality becomes more vibrant, solid, and real than ever before. Chapter 7: Your True Inheritance. The contract is void. The books are balanced. The spiritual debris is being cleared. Now you stand before the vault that has been sealed your entire life. The inheritance they were paid to hide from you is now yours to claim. This is about the spiritual technology, the divine gifts, and the cosmic authority that are your birthright. The first part of your inheritance is clarity. This is not just mental sharpness, it is multidimensional perception. You will begin to see through time, understanding the karmic threads that connect past events to future potentials. You will see the energetic architecture behind the physical world, the shimmering web of light that connects all things. The world's lies, big and small, will become transparent to you. You will feel deception as a physical discordance, a sour note in the symphony of the universe. This clarity will allow you to navigate the world with an effortless grace. You will know who to trust and what situations to avoid, not through logic but through a deep, cellular knowing. The second part of your inheritance is your unique energetic signature, your true power. For some, this will manifest as healing abilities. For others, divine creativity. For many, the power of transmutation. But there are other gifts, more nuanced and specific. The gift of manifestation, the ability to hold a clear, emotionally charged thought and have physical reality rearrange itself to match it with startling speed. The gift of fearless truth-telling, where your words are encoded with a frequency that slices through illusion. When you speak your truth into a room, all the facades crumble. The polite lies, the social masks, the hidden agendas, they all become painfully obvious, forcing a moment of raw authenticity, for better or worse. The gift of creating sacred space, turning any room into a temple with your mere presence. The gift of dream walking, the ability to consciously navigate the dreamscape to receive information or assist other souls. The gift of energetic alchemy, the innate ability to take dense, heavy emotions like fear or grief, either your own or from the collective, and transmute them within your own energy field into pure, usable light. You are a walking spiritual recycling plant. These gifts were not given to you, you were born with them. The training you endured, living under the contract, was not to destroy these gifts, but to teach you how to handle them with wisdom and precision. You are not a novice being handed a weapon, you are a master reclaiming your tools. The final and most important part of your inheritance is your assignment. You were hidden because you are essential. Your activation was scheduled for this exact moment in history. Your role is not to be a follower. Your role is to be a node of sovereignty, a lighthouse. A lighthouse does not run up and down the coast looking for boats to save. It stands in one place, anchored and strong, and it simply shines. Your assignment is not a burden, it is the source of your infinite energy. When you are engaged in your true purpose, you are no longer operating on your own finite battery power. You become a conduit for universal life force. Your assignment is encoded in your joy. The thing that makes you feel most alive, most expansive, most authentic, that is the direction of your mission. You are to become a reality architect. This means you are here to consciously dream a new world into being. The first step is to guard your imagination as a sacred temple. Stop using that sacred space to rehearse worry, fear, and worst-case scenarios. That is a misuse of a divine faculty. You must begin to use it intentionally. Your daydreams, your art, your business ideas, your vision for a better community, these are not fantasies. They are architectural blueprints. Your vision for a business that prioritizes people over profit is not a naive dream, it is the seed of a new, heart-centered economy. Your desire for authentic community is not just a personal longing, it is the frequency that will magnetize the members of your true soul tribe together, forming the foundational nodes of a new society. By focusing your powerful energy and emotion on these visions, you are seeding new timelines of possibility for humanity. You are laying the energetic foundation for the world that comes next. The resistance that characterized your past will fall away, replaced by a sense of flow and divine alignment. The challenges will feel purposeful and invigorating, like an athlete training for a championship, rather than the pointless, draining struggle of a prisoner rattling their cage. You are no longer an asset in someone else's ledger. You are the owner of the bank, the writer of the new contracts, the architect of the new world. Your true life begins now.